All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very special indie author live chat in our fall lineup, and today we are welcoming Stephanie B. Whitfield. Hey,
Hi.
Stephanie, who's a multi-genre indie fantasy author, but mostly you have the one trilogy right now and then a second separate work. But I'm so excited to finally meet you
Yay,
face
that,
to
that makes
face.
me feel good. I'm glad.
It's like we've been chatting on Instagram for, I want to say, like a year.
Yeah, a
And
while,
it's just
right?
so weird to like finally meet people in person, but it's so good. So thank you for joining us. And why don't you introduce yourself, tell the readers and other writers who are watching a little bit about you and your books?
So, um, I started writing. I was kind of late to. When I was young. I had written like this story, and of course, like it's like that little meme that you see that like has like the huge fantasy dragon, and then that's what you think it is, and then when you actually see it, it's like a stick figure. And so, but that's as a kid. So I had written it, and I think it was, I want to say it was like first grade. And so I just thought it was this fabulous thing. And the teacher was like, "This is the worst thing. You should never write," and whatever, because that's what I wanted to do. And so I just kind of shoved it aside and thought, "Oh, I'm never going to be good enough." And then I think it was in like 2016, I just sat down and I wrote Hidden, which is the first book in my series. And basically, Hidden is basically me in a small package. And it's about a 16-year-old girl who finds out she has witch powers, which I don't have witch powers. That part was made up. But, um, but it's called Hidden in Roll. And so her dad was hiding her to protect her from witch hunters. And Roll is actually a real place in Arizona that's like basically even people that live here in Arizona don't know it exists.
Oh, wow.
But it's just a teeny, like, right, it's got one exit and it's like teeny tiny. It doesn't even have any of its own schools. Like, it's just flat out farmland. But my dad grew up there. And so that's how I knew about it. And so I used it in my story. So it's been kind of fun.
Insider knowledge. I
Yeah,
love that.
right? Right? Um, but there's three in that trilogy that are published, and each one's I guess you could read them alone, but I would recommend reading them in order. The second one, Beware, it will make you cry. So I've got some hate from that, but I actually got writer's
Oh,
block on that one, so that's what got me out of my writer's block.
yeah, yeah.
Little
Second books are
change in
hard. They're
scenery.
like the hardest one of the trilogy.
Totally. Why is that? I don't know what it is. And the third one, it was cake. Like it just, it's done. But so I live in Arizona. We have 2 acres and we have a little small Harvey farm with 4 horses. I got to
Oh,
think about 7 dairy goats. And then we just got my daughter's FFA project. Her name is Goomba. So
oh,
that's who you help support with the Sonic cards. And she's a boar goat. So in April, she'll go to county fair and go to someone's dinner plate, which is sad, but it's life. I think that teaches good lessons for our kids. And so my daughter's excited, but kind of sad too. I'm like, don't get too attached. We have, I don't know how many chickens we have. They just go everywhere. 2 peacocks. I'll have to tell you that story. That's a funny story. That I got 2 peacocks from a YouTuber friend of mine. But
oh, wow.
yeah, I'll have to tell you that
Like, here,
one
you want my
sometime.
peacocks?
It's really
Sure.
funny, and they are just as loud as everybody says they are. Um, we we have 3 cats, 2 dogs. Oh, and Peppa the pig. So we have
Oh.
our little farm. It keeps me pretty busy. So when I'm not writing, that's what I'm doing because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like a full-time job.
Yes, I love to read pretty much any genre as long as it's not like hardcore horror. Like I've read some scary stuff, but as long as it's not like chopping people's arms off or like sewing back together, I'm not into that. Chainsaws, no thanks. But I have read like little, like there's been some things that I've read. I was like, oh, that was horror. Okay, that's okay. So light horror, but everything else, I just like to mix it up. And so then my writing is the same way. So I have my young adult urban fantasy that's published. Then I have a Western rom-com that's coming out in December. I just announced the release date. And I have a high fantasy that's at like 94,000 words. I know. I'm excited about that one because, like, I think if I was going to nerd out the most, it would be like Lord of the Rings, elves, and those things. Like, love Rivendell. That's where I would go if I could pick somewhere. Um, and then I've got a little short story that I had in an anthology for a little while. That's published, and I actually give that free to my newsletter people. And then I just joined another anthology that we haven't talked about, but it's contemporary romance with a Christmas wedding at the end. So that one will be fun. And trying to think, is that it? Yeah, I think. Oh, I just joined Vella too. I just decided
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So now you got the serialized story going for Kindlevella.
Yeah, so I've got way too many irons in the fire, but it's somehow working. But that's how my brain is. It's just like everywhere.
Just keep. Well, I was actually going to ask if your love of all those different genres played into your writing, because you've got the fantasy, you've got the historical fiction, you've got the Western romance, you've got just a little bit of everything, and that seems like as a writer, it'd be really hard to keep it all straight. I mean, your stories are really good, so you do a good job keeping it straight. But it's like, I don't know how you manage to keep all those spinning plates going at once.
I don't know either. Well, and I forgot the historical fiction. So I had a friend. It's a brilliant story, and it's real. And so he had told me, and he commissioned me to write it, but I just haven't done it yet because, like, there's just I keep like having little teeny things like. So it's coming. It's just maybe a little while, but it's a great story, and so I'm excited to do that one too. So that's why that's on there. But yeah, I can only write so fast, right?
That's right. Well, then there's the editing and the marketing and the cover designing. And yeah, I think a lot of people who are newer to indie books, whether that's reading or writing, you don't realize how much goes into putting those books
so much work
into the real world.
So I'm working right now just so I can get my I don't know what you call, I guess you call it advanced reader, the one that has the bar across that says this is not for sale, just so I can get that to
like the advanced copy or personal
yes
copy.
So I've got everything uploaded to KDP except we're on the 5th cover now because the P on my name keeps hanging down into the margins. And she's like, okay, try this one. And so we just keep like submitting it until finally they'll like, I get they're trying to help, but KDP is kind of a pain sometimes. So yeah, my name might have to be really small. Might just make it really small so that stupid P isn't going down.
Tell your designer, can we make it a capital P?
I know, right? Don't let it hang down. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
Luna says about second volumes, maybe the second is almost thought of as filler to get to the third. Not saying that's the case, but maybe that's a thought.
For sure, yes. I don't know. So it was funny because my mother-in-law, of all people, like I wouldn't have thought, she said that my second one was her favorite. I don't know if it's because of all the emotional that went on, but I was like, oh, because usually everybody's like, I hate that one. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
So I guess it just depends on the reader. So, yeah, I'll just give you a small hint that I killed off one of my main characters. And when my my editor went through it, she's like, you are really brave. Oh, there's Mickey. Oh, hi, Mickey.
Hi, baby.
This is Mickey. She's my reading buddy, so she thinks I'm reading because I'm in my reading chair. She's like, hey, so she's going to hang out with us.
So many writers have cats. Have you noticed that?
I know. It's so true. Like, well, we have a little bit of everything, but she, it's so funny because, and it's with every cat, I think they have to get in front of the screen. They have to write or walk on the keyboard. Yeah. So she's one of those that does that.
Yes, but the cat co-authors in our lives.
For sure. She definitely feels that way.
Yeah, I think the second volumes for me are a lot of times getting up. It's like trying to scale the mountain. So the first book is like, I'm going off on an adventure. And then the third book, you're like, the adventure's right there. And then the second book, you're like, how do I get over this?
Totally.
But I totally take my hat off to you. I got so frustrated doing second volumes that I actually was like, I'm just going to stick with duologies.
Ones,
do 2-volume ones.
For sure. And I had thought about like leaving my third one on a really nasty cliffhanger, but I hate cliffhangers. Like I'm okay with cliffhangers if they're small. but not ones where like Frodo, like the first Lord of the Rings movie, and they go over the mountain to get into Mordor, and then the movie's over, and you're like, what? Like, right? So like, if it's minor, like you're like, oh, that, you know, we didn't find out if they became friends, then it's some, you know, not so bad, right? Like you're like, okay, we'll find that out. But like, so I'd actually did that, and then my editor was like, you shouldn't do that, because I was going to write a fourth one, and then I actually filled it in.
It says heart.
Yes, right. And then I like it. I even got a couple comments. It feels rushed, Steph, and I'm like, I'm not redoing it. Like it is what it is. And so I had thought to do a fourth one, but I just haven't felt it. And if I don't feel it, I can't write it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be crap. So, yeah. So that's how like my things pop up, and that's why my high fantasy keeps getting pushed, because I was just like, I'm going to write about. Okay, so I don't know if you guys watched the Cowboy. I think it's called The Cowboy Way on, or something, with Dale Brisby on Netflix.
Yeah, I haven't, but
oh, it is so flippin' funny. So that is what inspired my Saving the Cowboy Way, the one that's releasing here shortly. And so that, like, and I was in the middle of my high fantasy, and so I was shoved that aside and was like, oh, I gotta write this. Like, this is my new idea. So that's how. Yeah. So I promised that my high fantasy would come next, because it needs to, and it's almost there. But, and then I pulled out this Kindle Vella thing, and so then it's like, oh. And we can thank Brittany for that. Brittany is the one that's like, Steph, you should do it. So.
Oh, yay. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, I know. She's super cute.
And I hear you mention your daughter a good bit, like reading things with you and doing
Yes.
other things with you. How has the rest of your family sort of taken your writing career on top of, you know, the amazing other superwoman things you're doing?
Well, thanks. So I have 3 kids, and so my oldest is almost 17, which is crazy, and she's a senior, and so that,
Aw.
I know, it's like my mommy heart's not ready, but she's the one that helps me the most, and she's actually like, and I hate to like say this, but like, I'm not the greatest at like grammar and stuff, but she's amazing. And so like, she actually goes through, it was cute the other day. So I have, my second daughter is almost 14. And so she was telling her, she's like, well, I'm basically mom's editor. So, and it was just like, oh, that was really cute. So she reads through, she fixes my sentences. Sometimes I have a tendency to like flip my sentences. And so she's like, Mom, you need to, so she'll fix them. And then I have, my youngest is 10. He is an old soul, and he loves to read, but he doesn't read mommy's mushy stuff.
Oh, okay.
So he likes like Harry Potter, and like right now he's reading The Ranger's Apprentice. So he likes like the good stuff, but not with like kissy, or, you know, he doesn't like that. So he supports me.
Big on the kissy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Princess Bride.
Okay,
Is this a kissing book?
I know, just to have kissing, Mom. Ew. So we always like to have a little bit of romance. It makes it better.
Yeah. When he gets older, he'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It will change. I'm okay with him waiting a while.
Yeah, just take your time. Enjoy the romance-free stuff.
Exactly. My husband is really supportive. He also doesn't. So he actually has not read Hidden. But I've just kind of told him about it. He's read a couple of my short stories, and he is reading my Kindle Vella because it's about a bull rider. And so he did like that one. So he's been sending me a bunch of like bull riding stuff so that I can get my research and get it correct. Because I was never a bull rider. I did a whole lot of other disciplines with horses, but I didn't ride bulls. I didn't want to go there. But we do want to make sure we get it right. So he's been sending me that stuff. But he is very supportive that way. So I have great family to back me up for sure. And a couple really good friends too. So that's good.
And an editor in training.
Yes, exactly. And hopefully, I've been trying to get her. I'm like, hey, you want to learn Photoshop too, so you can do my covers?
I mean, those skills will be great.
Right?
When they get a little older. I mean,
exactly.
There you go. Get paid to read books.
Exactly, right?
You know, Luna says, I definitely understand that. If I try to write when there isn't inspiration, it always feels forced or reads terribly.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, that's a great question, because you have that experience where you need that inspiration to write, do you have any advice you would give to writers that are watching this who are the same way but are struggling to find a way past that block? Like, do you just write something else or?
You could do that. Like, I feel sometimes like we definitely get burnout, and I think burnout is just a change of scenery. And
Mm,
so, even if like so after I wrote Hidden, I actually took like 5 months off from writing, which is really bad, but mentally I needed it. And
mm.
so, I think even just like doing something you love, like taking a walk, going on a hike, going out to dinner, whatever it is, just refresh, recharge. And then when you're ready, you'll know it. And so that's where it's been kind of fun for me to have different things because
Oh yeah.
I could be like, oh, I really feel like writing about elves right now. And so then I would do it.
Hmm.
Or like, we'll just use my cowboy one. So I'm like, oh, I just feel like hot cowboys right now. And so then I would write about hot cowboys. And so that way it's been nice to like jump in how I feel. And that way you're not stuck like, oh, I have to write about hot cowboys right now. Not that that's ever bad, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And
Like, I'm just
so,
not feeling it today. Today is not the
yeah,
day for hot
I
cowboys.
feel like a turkey sandwich today rather than a ham, right? Like, or something like that. Like, so I think sometimes we just need a recharge and we have to listen to that. Like, because you don't want to burn out totally where you're just like, oh, I don't want to write anymore. So you definitely need to mix it up and refresh, I think. At least that's for me.
Yeah.
And with Marked, I here we have it. Little advertisement there. So with Marked, with this one where I got the writer's block, um, I changed the scenery, right? So I got rid of one and then it opened up a whole new can of worms.
Mm.
Anyways, that's my advice. It's worked for me.
Well, that's great advice. I love that. Um, we hear a lot of advice about writer's block and all different things from push through it to
Yeah,
whatever. But sometimes I think, like you said, either taking a break or changing it up would be nice, even if you don't publish what you change it up to.
correct. And at some
Um,
point it probably should be. It just, fix it later. You can always. That's
yeah,
what I say. Just write
fix
it,
it in post.
fix it later. Yep.
You can't edit an empty page, but you can fix stuff in
Correct.
post.
Exactly.
Um, so, as far as being multi-genre and your publishing, was that part of why you decided to go indie versus like finding an agent and branding yourself as I'm a insert genre here author?
Well, and I toss back and forth with like, should I do a pen name for each one? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so much work. So I
Mm,
just kept my name like, and so my name is actually my name's, and the B is my maiden initial because there's a Stephanie Whitfield that is a news reporter in New York,
mm,
and so I didn't want to give her credit, and so I added my maiden name in there, and I've decided like I don't want to it's already so much work that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep it as it is. And if we look at like, and I know like they say that's like a huge no, and like for like marketing stuff it makes it super hard, but I think
mhm,
if you like someone's style then you should somewhat like.
mhm,
And so I can't remember in the middle. And so take Stephen King, for example. Like, mostly we know him about horror, but he's written like tons of other stuff. Like, he's
mhm.
got like murder mysteries, and he's got a fantasy. I don't know if have you read The Eyes of the Dragon? Eye of the Dragon?
No, no, I haven't read it yet.
That one's really good. And it's just like there's nothing really scary in it because I don't read scary. But like, so I've read a couple of his, like Carrie's not bad. And so like he kind of dabbles a little bit and look at him. Like, so I'm like, it's doable, right? Like we can do this.
Mhm.
So that's my idea. So I know sometimes like I don't always fit into, like there's been a couple of friends where I was like, hey, you wanna, and she's like, I only do fantasy. Okay, I can respect that. And so,
Mhm.
if you like what you like, and then, but me, I just like to go all over the place.
That's great. Free spirit.
Yeah, right.
Oh goodness. So we have to ask, since you have so many animals, do your books have animal sidekick characters?
Oh, always. Absolutely. So Hidden, which is right here. So Hidden, actually, there's a horse named Blue Jeans in there.
Oh,
And Blue Jeans is actually based on my quarter horse gelding that I have, and he's a blue roan. And so it's basically him in a nutshell, just different name because I don't know if I was thinking I was protecting him or what. I just wanted to make it different.
have a little distinction.
Yeah, exactly. Always a horse. There's always. I don't think I've ever. Only my short story Repercussions of Magic does not have a horse in it.
So no peacocks though.
No peacocks in that one either. I don't know. Maybe I should add a peacock, right? It would be kind of fun.
It's like bring your pet to school day. Oh, here's my peacock.
Right. Oh my gosh, they're not friendly. They're not mean. Like they don't come after you like a rooster would.
Yeah.
But they're not like if you get close, they'll like do this like weird cluck, and like then they'll go after you. So you have to be careful because they're not nice.
Like, oh, if you hear the cluck, back away.
Run, because they are warning you basically. Like I don't know if you've ever gone on YouTube and watched there's be like people, they'll be at zoos or something and they'll try like get a picture with the peacock and the peacock will attack them because they only like you like it's like 6 feet away person like yeah. But yeah, sorry, I gotta blow my nose really quick, sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, it's so gross.
It happens.
Sorry, so gross, guys. I'm sorry. Had cold.
I'm just honored that you would hop on. I know you've not been feeling so great, so it means a lot that you'd hop on with us.
Yes, hopefully my nose is safe. That's like the most embarrassing thing.
Right, we are people too, you know.
No, right. Oh yeah. Well, I'm like, well, I'm here. I might as well. I'm just sitting around anyways. As long as they can deal with me having to blow my nose every once in a while, we're okay.
So from a marketing standpoint, a marketing side, I know you mentioned earlier, just in some ways it's easier to say I'm this author or I write this. But I think too, you get in front of so many different people when you write that broad range. How has marketing been for you? Because that's normally one of the harder parts of indie writing.
Oh, absolutely. I will just say that I really hate marketing. Like it's the worst. I really think like, okay, we have to go to the TikTok thing, which you guys, I freaking hate TikTok. Like it is the worst. Like it is the devil of all, and it has ruined everything. Like I loved Instagram and I loved seeing all the beautiful pictures and the posts that people would like. People are so creative. And now we have all these dumb reels and because of TikTok, like, but like authors are having like super success with TikTok. Like there's one, I won't say any names, but she released a book after I did. And she said she was making like a couple $1,000s and already. And,
wow.
And yeah. And she has like over 200 reviews. And I was like, holy crap, what are you doing? She's like, it's TikTok. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do TikTok. Like with a passion, I don't want to do TikTok. And so I've even tried to be like, hey, Navy, you want to do my TikTok for my books? But, you know, then it has to be me in there. So I'm like, that's not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think just like every book, different books are for different people. And same thing with social media. Different audiences are on different things. And I'm sort of like you. I love my YouTube. I honestly was so shocked at what I found with Instagram because before I started publishing, my mentor was like, you have to be on Instagram. That is where the epic fantasy readers hang out. And I was scared of it because I'm not very visually creative with like pictures or anything. I guess that's why I write. Like it's one thing to put it in text. And so I got onto Instagram and I realized how warm the community was and how welcoming the community was. And people were willing to like take my hand and walk me through.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Stuff. And I've just been really shocked. And so that's been one of the challenges, but also one of the benefits of being in this community is learning. Like you said, I have a TikTok, but I only have a few videos.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see me dancing.
I know, right? Like, I guess.
But we would love to see your peacocks and your horses.
I know. And, you know, I had that thought. I'm like, I could probably do really well. Like, if I just went and did the animals, like eating my books or like writing, like they could be writing my, like, right? Like, people would love it. But I'm just like, oh, I have to make that effort, like, to like. And right now it's so hot, so I don't want to be outside. So that I'm like, oh.
Because it's like record heat where you guys are.
Yeah. And we've had like, it's funny because everybody's like, oh, Arizona's a dry heat. And in the monsoon, it isn't. And so like right now we're getting it, and we've had a really, really wet season. And so like we've been like 106, which is actually low for here because we'll hit into the 120s quite often. But then we've been like 106 and like 73, 76% humidity. And you guys, like, that's gross. So like I will come in like soaked to the bone by like 10 o'clock. Like, and it's just miserable. But
Oh, you feel
with
like
all
you
that,
moved to
yeah.
Tennessee where I am, or Texas.
Yeah. So I'm like, but we aren't used to that high humidity. And so then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. So
Get
I don't
that
know what's,
washcloth, put some cold water on it, put it
yeah.
around your neck, like trying to survive.
And I don't know what's worse, like, because like the humidity, you just like instant sweat. But like when we get into like the peak of our summer, when it's like 117, like the highest I've been in the years that because I've been here like for like 40 some years. And so then 124 was the highest. And it's basically like, the only thing I can compare it to is like when you open an oven door and you feel that heat like instant on your face. That's what it's like. So like you just instantly look outside and you're like, oh, okay, go back inside. So
Arizona heat.
Exactly. And not all of Arizona is like
Roll, that. You said your dad was from Roll.
Yes.
Do they know you put out a book? Like, have you sent any to stores or libraries there and been like, hey, I feature you guys?
I know, right? Well, I haven't like, so with Hidden, like I went very like, because it's your first, right? So I went very like as easy as possible because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. So it is my ISBNs are Amazon's. And so I don't think I can. And so my next ones, I just splurged and bought the package of 10 from Bowker.
Woo!
So I know, right? So my next ones will be, and so then I can like, cause like, I think I will cry if I walk into a Barnes and Noble and see my book on the shelf. So that's my goal. Or Walmart or Target or wherever. So that's what we're hoping with this one. Like we did one series one way, and we're going to just slowly move up each level one at a time. I don't know how people do it instantly, go wide and just go crazy. I couldn't have done it. No way.
There's a lot more behind the scenes to that. Like I know I did an interview with Andrew Meredith who did that with a series, 3 volumes in a 6-volume series, but I know he's worked years in prepping that series, I think, like writing and drafting and recording the audiobooks. And so there's so much behind the scenes that the readers don't see, as we both know. And then it's like, to a reader, wow, you're putting out 6 books in a year. It's like, well, technically these books have been written for a long time,
the funniest thing I get is like, oh my gosh, I bet you're making so much money now. And I'm like, okay, you want the real statistics? So I've got about 5,500 into editing and all my covers and all that stuff, just my trilogy. And I made $400. So yeah, making lots of money. So yeah, there's the nitty gritty of it. And
no matter which route you go in the beginning, it's hard, I think. And really and truly, we, like you and I were talking earlier, we do this for the connections more than anything.
Absolutely.
And sure, it'd be nice to make enough to pay what we're putting in, and of course maybe make a little extra. But I know there are some indie authors that make it huge, but most of us, we're just like working day jobs, doing this on the side to send our books out to be with people.
And it's amazing how much talent. Like, I don't know how you feel, but all last year I read all indie. There wasn't anything else. Well, so then like, okay, like I may get some haters for this, but like there was that huge what do you call it, bandwagon of Sarah Maas with the I've said that with the
ACOTAR stuff.
Yeah. So I started that one. Okay, it was okay. Like, but after reading some of this indie stuff, like I was like, like
my bar is so much higher now that I read indie.
Yeah, like, right? Like, and it's sad because there's a lot of people that stick their noses up, oh, you're just indie. And I was like, dude, I've read some amazing indie stuff. So I couldn't even, this is so bad. Okay, I will say that Court of Mist and Fury was my favorite. That one was amazing. But I got to the fourth little skinny one, or whatever that one's called. I couldn't finish. Like I was like, I'm done. Like, and I went back to reading my indie books.
It's really true. There's the talent in both sides, and there's a lot of hidden talent among
Yes.
indie authors, especially when you get to retain the creative control of your books and you're not stuck in like this has to meet this model for
Yep.
this genre, because ultimately traditional, they are businesses. They're wanting to churn those numbers.
For sure.
And whereas we indie might be willing to sacrifice numbers to put out a story that means a whole lot to us. So,
Right.
which I know is what we see with your first trilogy too. If you're watching and you want to read any of Stephanie's books or check out any of her work, you can go to the description box if you're watching on YouTube, because I've got a link there to Stephanie's
Thank
books
you.
and Stephanie's stuff. Oh, you're welcome. If you're on Twitter watching live, you'll have to hop over to YouTube or hop over to Stephanie's Instagram to grab those from there, because I can't drop stuff onto Twitter lives. But this has been the most fun conversation, literally talking after a year of just texting.
Absolutely. We have to do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the best with the books you're writing and the new ones coming out.
Thank you.
Just so excited to see what comes out of yours in the next year.
Yay. I hope you guys love Saving the Cowboy Way, because I mean, we like the Hidden trilogy, but you guys, Saving the Cowboy Way is way better. I'm so excited. Like, and like it's fun to see the growth, like, right? Like,
that's right.
Now I'm like, oh, I must want to cringe. I'm like, don't read it. Like, oh, it's got boo-boos. And so, yeah, but Saving the Cowboy Way, like, I'm telling you, I'm so ready for this one to come out. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yay.
I know.
Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in and dropping your comments and submitting your questions. We will be having a few more authors next week and this weekend on the fall lineup. So definitely subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss those. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Okay, bye.